Please state your name.
Peyton Johnson.
And how do you identify?
I'd identify as a Caucasian Jewish woman.
Okay. Have you ever felt left out because of your background, identity, or beliefs?
I think a little bit. As being Jewish, it's more of a minority religion. So especially during Christmas time, even though my dad is Christian, we don't really celebrate it as much as obviously Hanukkah and other Jewish holidays. So it's just a different perspective, I guess.
Do you feel that students at your school are treated fairly no matter who they are or where they come from?
I think that there's, at least at Hockaday, there's an idea that with all of our affinity groups, everyone should be treated equally, and I think a lot of people come at meeting new people with that perspective, but I think there's definitely an unconscious bias that comes about in other people that can hinder that full equality. And I think our school is definitely an exception of the real world, and I think our school is much more accepting than other schools.
Are different cultures, histories, or languages talked about and celebrated in your classes?
I would definitely say that in more recent classes, as I've gotten older, we've talked about more religions and cultures, especially in my foreign policy class. I feel like we've talked about a much more wide variety of countries and cultures than we have in my past classes. But so I would say throughout middle school, not as much, but as I've gotten into upper school or high school, we've touched on more cultures and religions, but I think there's a lot more to be said.
Okay. And what would you like to learn more about when it comes to other people's experiences or cultures?
What would I like to learn?
Yes.
I think I would want to learn how, what their culture or their religion says about controversial topics of our time, for example abortion, how different religions kind of play into that idea, and how maybe those morals or views show different sides of that discussion.
If someone says or does something hurtful at school, do you feel comfortable reporting it?
I think it depends on the severity of the report. I think that if someone is being criticized for the religion and it is obviously very targeted at the person, I don't want anyone to feel that way, and I would report them. But also if it's a smaller disagreement, I don't think I would report them because I might be afraid of putting myself into someone else's argument.
And lastly, what changes would help make this school more welcoming for everyone?
I think that, our school already has a lot of affinity groups, and it's really cool that we get to hear all these stories, but making the affinity days maybe mandatory, because I know I sometimes miss the affinity days because I have meetings scheduled or tests, and I don't get to learn about that affinity group. And it's not that I don't want to, but I just have other things that also need to be done. But making them mandatory would allow for everyone to learn about all these different affinity groups and all their backgrounds.
Okay, thank you.